Well, hello, my friend. My name is Joe Bakhmutsky. I am the founder of Power to Be Happy and also the author of, this book, Finding Hope in Times of Uncertainty, a guide to thriving in a challenging world of today. And listen, sometimes you don't feel like you're thriving. Sometimes it really feels like things are just falling apart. And it's not going to plan, and you feel like all over the place. And you feel like you're failing. You're failing yourself. You might be failing your people around you. And that's not a great place to be. And that's what we're talking about today. And I think it's super important to acknowledge that sometimes and to feel that way, because we all do. We all feel like we're just, not meeting our own expectations, or sometimes we all feel like we're not enough to be where we want to be, not enough for our hopes, not enough for our dreams, not enough for our ambitions, whether they are grand or whether they're just to survive. I think that's so important to remember, though, that life, it's like a heartbeat. Sometimes it beats and sometimes it stops, and then it gets going again. And then it stops, and then it gets going again. And that's how it goes. It's a rhythm. It's a rhythm where it's going and stopping and starting, stopping and starting. And sometimes that means sometimes you come up, but that also means you gotta come down. And what it means is that going up might just be around the corner for you. Especially if you're struggling. Especially if you feel like nothing's been maybe changing for a little while, and maybe you feel kind of stuck. I want you to know that change, that up that you're looking for, that might be just around the corner. And the difference between feeling like you're like you're really struggling, and the difference between where you feel good about yourself and the world around you, that difference is so much smaller than you think. We often feel like, there's a huge gap. Well, I want you to know that the gap is small. Because sometimes one thing can make a dramatic difference to your experience, but it can also set things in motion. It can also get things moving again, so that you feel like you're kind of progressing. You feel like you're vibing. You feel like you're moving forward. And that's why it's so crucial to kind of recognize that this is a part of a natural rhythm. And that up and the down and where you may be at is maybe low. Or maybe low in one part or several parts of your life. But that doesn't mean that things are going to stay that way. And that things are going to pick up. And the change that needs to come is going to might be really small, that might really set things in motion. Now, with that in mind, let's think about what does it mean? What does failing mean? What does failure mean as a concept? I think the definition for it is not meeting your own expectations, right? Because other people, we all have different perspectives. So whether by somebody else's standard, you might be doing amazingly well. By somebody else's standards, you might be doing awful. And that's true at any part of your life, right? Because we're all going to get judged by people. We're all going to have people look at you and have an opinion and have their own perspective and project that onto you. So we can't make failure about other people's opinions, because they're all different and they change. And they're not really real, because they don't know you. They don't know what you've been through. They don't know where you're at. They don't know where you're going. Right? So how can we trust their judgment? We cannot. And so you have to go with your own expectations and start there. And start looking at and start asking some questions of yourself. I think that's so vital when you are in that place and going, why do I feel that way? Why do I feel like I'm failing? Why do I feel like things ain't right? Why do I feel that I'm not doing well. Why don't I feel good about this part of my life or just my life in general? Why do I feel like things suck? Because that's real for us. And I think there's this kind of three different levels we gotta be able to look at when we're asking those questions. Not from a perspective of blaming yourself, not from a perspective of second guessing yourself, but from a point of view of wanting to understand, wanting to get better, wanting to change. That's what it's all about. And the first kind of level, I guess, that we want to be able to think about is when you're asking that question, why, probably that feeling that is going to come up for you in some way is going to be around frustration. Like you might feel like you're like just like frustrated, like things ain't working out. And that might be like really the first thing that really comes up for you. That feeling of like just kind of grinding through but not getting results. And that's an uncomfortable place to be. When you feel like it's just isn't right and maybe you can't even explain it properly. The first feeling that really cuts across that we want to be able to bring up and to really put into play is acceptance. Because nothing can change. Nothing in our life can shift in any way, whether you're looking for a dramatic change, whether you're looking for like a gradual type of shift. Nothing can change into any direction until we start to accept where you're at. And that is why it is so vital to really think about, it's okay. You know what? It's okay that I feel this way. I'm not liking it. I don't enjoy being frustrated, but I recognize that's where I'm at. And maybe partially it's my fault. Maybe I could have done things differently, but yet here I am, and that is where I find myself. And that's a strong position. A position of acceptance is incredibly powerful. Because you're not saying, that's okay, I'll just, this isn't good enough, and that's just how it's going to be. You're not saying, oh, I'm such a bad person, I've been so awful. We're not saying that either. We just acknowledge this is where I'm at. I may not be perfect, but this is where I find myself. And that is a very powerful position to start yourself in when you're feeling tense, when you feel unsure of yourself, when you feel like things aren't going your way. And that is when we can start to dig deeper and to really think, well, why is this happening? Why do I feel this way? Is there anything that's set me off? Is there anything that's led to this? Is there anything that I could have done differently or that I could be doing differently from now on to, well, either make a change or just feel a little bit better or just get out of this kind of slump that I'm in? And what could I be doing differently? And what often comes up at that level when we're looking at things and we're trying to understand the real reasons, when we go kind of deeper than just feeling frustrated and just kind of surface level emotions and surface level reasons, when we start to dig deeper, right? When we start to really kind of dig in, well, what we have really start to face is doubt. Is this doubt? Well, it starts when you start to really get closer to maybe what the real reasons are, and maybe not doing things well, or maybe feeling like you could have done things differently. What instantly comes up for us is all of these negative questions, Like, am I really good enough to do this? Or is this thing even going to work out? Or who am I to be even doing this? Or, well, I mean, these things always just fall to pieces for me. I'm not good at relationships. I'm not good at friendships, Whenever I try to do something in my career, it never works. Right? So we come up with doubt. We come up with this negative kind of, you know, explanations that don't explain anything. They're just doubts. And doubts, the interesting thing about doubts is they aren't real, right? We know that that's a story that we just tell ourselves. And if it is a story that you end up telling yourself about how you're not good at something or how something that doesn't go your way, well, we could tell a story that is different. A story that is going to make you feel like better. You can tell yourself a story thinking, okay, well, maybe it hasn't worked for me. Maybe it hasn't worked for me in the past, but maybe it's because I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, maybe I'm in this place because I had a run of bad luck that maybe other people haven't necessarily had. And I can still pick myself up and get going. Well, maybe the reason why I don't feel confident of myself because I'm not in a great place in my life. And it's okay if I feel worried, if I feel unsure of myself. But what if I could turn this around? What if I could just think about what I can do better? What if I could just try and do things differently? Wouldn't that make just a dramatic shift in how I feel about myself? And let me tell you that the answer, I think, is not to have confidence. I think so much in our society is all, in our culture, it's all about being confident and always, having the right thing to say and always feeling positive and upbeat and so sure of yourself. That's hard. I think especially when you've been through struggle, when you've been through strife, especially when things aren't going your way. And I have a real alternative for that. I have a real cure for doubt, and that isn't confidence. That's hope. Hope is a much deeper, profound feeling than confidence because it's more level-headed and it's accessible to everyone. Hope is not showy, it's not loud. Hope is a sense of going, I may not be good at this, or things may not have worked out for me before. And I don't know how things will work out in the future, but I hope that things will get better. I hope that change is gonna come. And with that in mind, I'll keep doing what I can to look after myself, to look after the people around me. I will do my best to move forward in the terms that makes it real for me. I want to move forward and live the life that I truly deserve for me in my life right now. And that's why, the third level, we go to third level of insight or understanding, of feeling like, you're getting some answers and you get into a place in life where you have an understanding of what's going on and what is it why you feel upset and why you feel like things haven't been working out for you and why you feel that you haven't been enough for time. And to get past that, this is why it's so important to take action. And when I say take action, I don't mean some always like some sort of epic, massive change that is just gonna come, but making one step forward. One step. Deciding to, do whatever it is for you. Whether that's, if you feel like you've been spending too much time away from people, maybe it's catching up with a friend. If you feel like what you've been doing in your work hasn't been successful, maybe it's reading a book on how to get better at that. Maybe it's asking for some advice or guidance. Maybe it's working with someone who can really help you to get that step forward. But do one thing for yourself that will make you feel like you're doing something about it. And I would urge you to do one thing that the world won't notice. They won't see it. Do one thing for yourself that will help you feel better, that will help you feel like you're doing something. Doesn't have to be epic. One step forward is the best step that you can take in the right direction. I hope this helps you, my friend. You're just in a place of a natural rhythm where you've gone down and you're going to go up again. Look after yourself. Understand why you're feeling that way. And it's important to accept that. Accept where you're at. Because you are, you are on a journey. You are part of this world, and just like the rest of us, you're not perfect. And it's important to acknowledge it so we can move on. The second thing really is to have the hope that one day things might get better. Have the hope that things can change. And the third thing is doing one thing that you can to help you move forward in life so that you feel like there's some kind of progress. You feel like there's movement. You feel like, even when it's difficult, that you're getting progress out of life and that you're moving forward on your terms. My name is Joe Bakhmutsky. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you soon.